biggest bad guy character in professional wrestling.
When's the last time you got laid?
French Toast is the exchange student that you have like a 3-week affair with.
Like, we can see that you don't have pants on.
Can we tell the truth about Dusty sooner or later?
Bro,
like-
less people wanted that than are currently watching our stream.
And you know Vince, and you still think, are these true? It's like...
Welcome to the Mark It Down podcast.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Mark It Down podcast, where it is Friday night, and this is not SmackDown. No, we are in the Gympact Zone, covering all things TNA Impact, and in this instance, Emergence, the pay-per-view premium live event thing. I don't know what we call it in TNA, but it was fun. It was fun, and it is almost midnight, and I appreciate you guys being here with me so late. But hey, it's Friday. If you're going to bed before midnight on a Friday, you are either old or, like me, just tired. I don't actually blame you. Go to sleep. Maybe watch this later. Or whatever, but go to sleep to my voice. I don't think that's a problem either. I am quite, I don't know. What's the word I'm looking for here? Soothing? Let's go with soothing. But this was an excellent event, everybody, as Henrietta, my beloved cat, is eager to share with you. Hello, Henny. This was a fun event, guys. It's one of those weird instances where Emergence isn't one of the big pay-per-views for TNA, so you never really know what to expect. You're not going to get a fully stacked card, but they still do their best to make this feel like a really fun event, bigger than a regular Impact taping or whatever that may be. And I think they started off with a bang with the Ultimate X match to start the night. Wait, my bad. I guess we'll start a little early. We'll go to the pre-show. I'm not going to go hard on it. I'm not going to get into all the details of the pre-show, but I will tell you the king of TNA, Frankie Kazarian, did defeat Kushida. AJ Francis and Casey Navarro. We're going to talk about him a little bit more. He is awesome. We've already seen him in the Impact Zone. We've already seen him in TNA, but this is a big step up for him. To be on a TNA pay-per-view in a title match. They step up and they challenged for the TNA tag team titles. As we know, the original plan was to be Rich Swann teaming up with AJ Francis, but unfortunately, some real-life personal issues have changed that, and Casey Navarro filled the void. We also had Matt Cardona's mystery opponent take on PCO for the TNA Digital Media Championship and the International Heavyweight Championship. That mystery opponent was the Indian Lion, Shira. PCO did get the win, of course, retaining his title, leaving Matt Cardona once again very upset, but Steph DeLander very happy with her husband. Now, going to the main show, we have our Ultimate X match as Speedball Mike Bailey, the champion, the X Division champion, defended his title against Hammerstone, Jason Hotch, Laredo Kid, Riley Osborne from NXT, and Zachary Wentz of the Rascals. Eddie, you are killing me, kids. The build up to this match was a lot of fun. We all saw it on TV for the last few weeks as Speedball made it very clear he wanted to be a fighting champion. He wanted to help elevate what he thinks is the best division TNA has to offer and all of wrestling has to offer. And he wanted the best of the best to challenge for this title, as we had qualifying match after qualifying match, week after week. Hell, he put himself in the qualifying match to make sure everything was fair and he deserved to be there along with all of the people he was wrestling. And let me say, the plan worked out. Everybody in this match delivered. Everybody in this match excited. Everybody had a high spot, in my opinion. Zachary Wentz hit a beautiful top rope cutter onto the mat. It was great. By the way, if you guys don't know what an Ultimate X match is, that's fine. I'm here to guide you. Although it's a little weird if you're at a TNA stream and you don't know what Ultimate X is. Ultimate X, similar to a ladder match, sees either a title or whatever object, sometimes an actual physical X, being held above the ring, by two intersecting wires, two intersecting ropes being held by four big pillars on the outside of the ring. Instead of climbing a ladder, it is up to the wrestlers to climb up the posts, then climb across the ropes, making it to the center, unhooking whatever it may be, in this instance, the X Division Championship. And it doesn't matter if you unhook it, you have to land on the mat with it. So you could be the one who unhooked it. If somebody takes it out of your hands and lands on the mat with it before you do, they are the winner. So, like I said, everybody had a high spot in this match, whether it was Zachary Wentz with a top rope cutter, whether it was Hammerstone, who from the top rope, military pressed, I believe it was Laredo Kid to the outside. Just absolutely incredible spot. Jason Hotch hitting a major torture rack bomb. Just looked absolutely like a stud with that move. Laredo Kid being Laredo Kid, quite frankly, and hitting as many top flight moves as he could, jumping to the top of the cables with his hands and then landing a huge hurricanrana off of it onto Hotch onto the floor. Even NXT's Riley Osborne, who a lot of people were questioning why he was in this match. Guys, if you don't get why an NXT guy was here, then you don't understand what they're trying to accomplish with this crossover. They want to get as many eyes as possible. And quite frankly, as somebody who hasn't been so hot on this crossover between the two, this alliance between the two, I got to say, Riley Osborne was a very good grab for TNA. As somebody who is not so familiar with NXT, as somebody who only kind of has a cursory knowledge of Chase University, I didn't really know much about Riley Osborne before his TNA appearances. And he delivered in both his qualifying match and again here at Emergence, in the X Division match, having two major high-flying spots, hitting a huge flip and hitting a tower power bomb spot onto the floor. It was very well done. It was a sunset flip. I'm sorry, I was struggling to come up with the name there. Hitting a huge sunset flip bomb from the ring to the outside onto three men. Great spot. This kid, obviously, who am I to tell, but he's got a future, it seems, and I understand why WWE, why NXT wants him to get as many reps in and just continue to show off now in as many eyes, in front of as many eyes as possible. So really impressed with Riley Osborne. And of course, Speedball having a great spot as he's fighting with Zachary Wentz on one of the corners, on one of the pillars on the outside. And as Wentz is repeatedly kicking him, he kicks Bailey off of the corner. Bailey turns that into a huge moonsault, taking everyone out on the outside. Just great, great move. The finish coming with Zachary Wentz and Speedball Mike Bailey fighting on the ropes to try and unhook the title. It is Wentz who is able to knock Bailey off after he really desperately tried to switch his stance, but it wasn't enough. And now Zachary Wentz of the Rascals is an X Division champion, matching his partner, Trey Miguel, who did come to the ring and celebrate with his partner. Now, guys, I am very happy for Zachary Wentz. We all know his story. He had a rough go of it due to some allegations that came against him from when he was in NXT. He got his release there. It seems that those allegations weren't true. It's not my place to judge on that. I don't know. But he found his footing again in TNA, and this was a great, great way for him to establish himself as a single star. Now, granted, I don't think the Rascals are going anywhere. I think he and Trey Miguel still have a long future as a tag team. They're certainly killing it on the indies as well as TNA. But what concerns me is that it seems like this title win is to help facilitate his feud with his former Rascals partner, his former MSK partner, Wes Lee, over in NXT. I've already made it clear I'm not thrilled with the fact that it seems like this feud that has a lot of energy, has a lot of emotion behind it, is happening on NXT television as opposed to TNA television. And if the whole thing is to just get Wes Lee to win the X Division Championship off of Zachary Wentz, I'm not thrilled with that. I love Wes Lee. I think he is an incredible talent, and I know they're trying to find things for him to do that isn't winning the NXT World Championship. But I don't want to see him be the first person to cross the line, no pun intended, and win a title from the other brand. Granted, maybe it does seem like Joe Hendry actually has a shot of winning the NXT title from Ethan Page, but I don't know. Feels bad, especially when you have somebody like Speedball Mike Bailey, who is such an incredible talent. I'm not upset that Speedball lost the title. If anything, it showed that what he wanted came true. The X Division is elevating itself. I love that concept. But I don't want him to be sacrificed for this TNA NXT partnership. It doesn't feel right. I'm not thrilled with it, but it is what it is. Time will tell. I might be just getting ahead of myself. I do that sometimes. I'm not perfect. Neither are you. But let's give it a shot. Anyway, I kind of got lost in the sauce there, guys. I'm sorry. Moving on, we had a backstage interview with Josh Alexander, the Walking Weapon, as Mean Gia Miller, the hardest working woman in TNA, asks him how he's feeling going into this huge Iron Man main event for the TNA World Championship later tonight. Josh is ready. Josh speaks about the fact that he has been in multiple Iron Man matches in his career. In fact, he's been in multiple Iron Man matches in TNA. So, and he has a pretty good win record with them, guys, if you didn't know. So he is ready for this, and this is his championship to win, and Nick Nemeth is the one at the disadvantage. Very good points. This match definitely favors Josh Alexander on paper. So something to think about going into the match later on. We then go back to the ring as Steve Maclin takes on Eric Young. And my God, guys, I'm happy again. I am happy because it kind of seems like everybody's jumping on board the Maclin train. Fans were very into this match from the get-go. Commentary making it known. Yes, this is the first time in any capacity Eric Young and Steve Maclin are touching in a ring. The fans were chanting "Holy shit" at the beginning of the match, and I understand because watching it, this was a physical matchup between these two hard-edged superstars, wailing on each other with heavy blows, big attacks, whether it was elbow drops, stiff punches, stiff clotheslines, everything. It looked like it hurt in this matchup, guys, and that shouldn't surprise you given the men involved. Eventually, after all the hard-hitting, strong-style wrestling, Maclin went for a dive onto Young, who was on the floor, but Eric was able to duck it, and Maclin crashed into the ramp. They both went to the top of the ramp. Eric bit Maclin and then throws him down. He then hits a big flying elbow smash. He goes for the pile driver, but Maclin is able to avoid it. He tries it again, but this time he actually hits it. He covers him, but only gets 2. Fans chant one more time because they're sadistic, and Eric Young puts Maclin in the position to go for it again, but Maclin is able to reverse it, get a jackknife pin onto Young, and gets him with that 1, 2, 3 with the surprise victory. The fans were crazy into the finish. They dug it. I am here for it. I've been saying it. Steve Maclin is awesome. You guys are a little late following me on this, but that's okay. I forgive you. I'm sure he won't, but I will. And after the match, he looked exhausted. Eric Young, who seemed frustrated, was initially about to leave the ring, comes back in, helps Maclin to his feet, and shakes his hand. This was a great spot. Maybe this means Maclin isn't going to turn heel. Maybe it's just he's going to be an angry tweener. I'm fine with that. Let him just be somebody who fights people. A-okay with me. Keep it going. Keep it going. And Maclin has his first body on the pile as he is looking to go back for the TNA World Heavyweight Championship. Speaking of the TNA World Heavyweight Championship, we go backstage once again with Mean Gia Miller as she has the TNA World Champion with her, Nick Nemeth. She too asks Nemeth about later tonight and the matchup he's going to have for the championship. He talks about having stolen championships and girlfriends over the years, but that's not what tonight's about. He's here to talk about Josh Alexander and winning this Iron Man match, considering Josh Alexander is the only man to ever win a full-on 60-minute Iron Man match in TNA history. He says at the end of the day, he's coming out on top tonight, and he's going to do what he's been doing for the last 15 years. I think that's what he said, 15 years. Going back to the ring, we have some knockouts action. Last night, guys, I do apologize. I didn't get to cover Impact last night. I was exhausted. Jet lag, kind of a bitch. So I apologize for missing what was the match by elegance between Jordan Grace and Ash by Elegance herself. From what I did see of the matchup afterwards, catching the highlights, it was a brutal match. No DQ, street fight type of match. The finish coming as Masha Slamovich and Alicia Edwards tried helping Ash by Elegance beat Jordan Grace, but they were thwarted by Spitfire, who helped Jordan Grace retain her Knockouts championship. So tonight we're dealing with the fallout of that as we have a 6 knockout match, as we have Spitfire teaming up with the Knockouts champion Jordan Grace against Ash by Elegance and Militia. I always feel bad. I really do. Because, first off, you guys know I love the Knockouts. The best women's division in all of professional wrestling. The match itself was kind of messy. At one point, it kind of looked like Alicia Edwards got legitimately knocked out on the floor, and the camera caught it, and it just didn't look great. The doctors were checking on her, and it was just kind of a scary spot. What led to that was, hold on, I'm checking my notes. Jordan Grace sends Jody Threat onto a pile of bodies onto the floor from the ring to the outside, and I think Alicia just got knocked, and it was a scary spot. I obviously want her to be okay. You never want to see an injury in wrestling, no matter what. But the match continued. Alicia was helped to the back by Tommy Dreamer and TNA officials. The finish coming as Ash by Elegance. I'm so sorry. Spitfire, Jody Threat getting the win and pinning, I believe it was Masha Slamovich, which was kind of a surprise. This felt like the type of match where the heels were going to win it. And granted, maybe they had to call an audible because of Alicia's injury. But this felt like the match where the heels were going to win because maybe the TNA Knockouts tag titles were going to switch hands at maybe Bound for Glory. I don't know. All I know is as much as I really, really do like Ash by Elegance, I really don't need to see her go against Jordan Grace again. This is 3 high-profile losses in a row. And if they run it a 4th time, it's really just going to kill any momentum she could unleash at some point. But most importantly, as I've been saying, wishing all the best to Alicia Edwards. I hope she's okay, and I hope we get an update sooner than later. But moving back, we go to a segment with Steph DeLander and PCO. Steph DeLander is still celebrating her husband's win from earlier in the night, and she says that come Thursday on Impact, she will be confronting Matt Cardona. I'm worried for PCO. It's not going to end well. It's not going to end well. Once again, dealing with an aftermath of the pre-show, we have the TNA Tag Team titles on the line as ABC, Ace Austin, and Chris Bay defend against AJ Francis and KC Navarro. Now, guys, like I said before, KC Navarro is a fun, young, exciting talent. He is killing it on the indie scene, winning cruiserweight title after belt, after championship. At one point, he was kind of just pulling off Ultimo Dragon, just being draped in gold, making that belt collector gimmick his own. We have seen him a little bit in TNA at this point. I believe he was in an X Division, an Ultimate X qualifier a little while ago, and I believe we've seen him in some one-on-one matches before. I believe he even went for the Digital Media Championship at one point, having taken on Laredo Kid before he dropped it to AJ Francis. It was a huge surprise seeing him here tonight, and given his character, given his gimmick, I think he could really fit in with First Class. Now, granted, given how this match went, I don't necessarily know that that's going to be the case. But even if this was just a one-off, good for him. I'm glad he's getting the exposure. Like I said, he is an excellent talent. hoping to get him on the pod sooner than later. We've talked about it a little bit in the past, but even if he doesn't show up here, we are big fans of him here at the Mark It Down podcast. But going to the match itself, this was a fun one. As guys, we know AJ Francis is a big guy, and he's been playing that part very well since his run here in TNA has started. Obviously, Chris Bay, Ace Austin aren't the biggest of guys, but they are muscular dudes. They got some strength behind them, and this match showed that. They were not backing down from Francis at any point. In fact, taking several opportunities to hoist him on their shoulders and dropping him hard. Great spots in this match. The match started with AJ calling for a test of strength with Austin, with the joke being Austin couldn't even reach Francis's hand. After that little joking went around, Austin continued to step up to him and instead slaps him so hard. This was a big week for slaps, with Bryan Danielson having slapped the spit out of Swerve Strickland. It seems that the same was done here. These little guys, they're not taking it. They're going to smack the crap out of them. I hope that didn't screw up my mic. It really might have. If I am muted, please let me know, guys. I'm actually going to check because I'm nervous. Hello. There you go. See, it's all good. Sometimes you got to run your own tech support when you're by yourself and you don't have a producer boy. But after that big slap, the big man was ready to pummel on Austin, and he did until Austin was able to go in for that tag on Bay. Bay was having a little bit of trouble with the bigger Francis until Navarro tags in and begins using his speed, his high flying to take control and get the crowd behind him a little bit. Bay then hit a big backbreaker into a clothesline, only getting a 2 count. He then tags Ace back in, and the ABC hit a double arm drag for a 2 count. Navarro is then knocked to the floor, but Francis catches him. This was a fun spot. He goes for the down payment on Bay on the apron, but Bay is able to get to his feet. In the ring, fans are giving Francis a lot of crap, saying, you can't wrestle. And guys, let me actually say, I don't think that's true anymore. There was a time where it was fun and it made sense to rag on AJ Francis' wrestling ability. That time does not exist anymore. This guy has been putting on fun matches here in TNA. Good character work to accompany it. This is not top dollar. Give him some credit. This guy is doing really well here in TNA. Granted, he's a heel, so do what you got to do. But I do appreciate the other group of fans who responded with, yes, he can chance. I am here for it. Here for it. AJ then hits a huge down payment onto Bay. But, and this is where I don't know if Casey is going to be getting an invite back to first class. Casey had tagged himself into the match, and AJ didn't know. So even though he had Bay pinned, it didn't count. The ref couldn't count it because Navarro was the legal man. He then goes for a big spot onto Austin, but Bay, who was the legal man, played possum, popped him up, and rolled him for the 1-2-3. Our homie Rich Swann got to come back sooner than later. Otherwise, I don't know if AJ Francis is going to be winning a lot of matchups. I do hope to see Casey Navarro stick around in TNA a little bit longer. Hell, I would love to see him show up in any company on TV right now. But TNA seems like a good home for him. It seems like a matter of time before this kid could be our X Division champion sometime in the future. So good, fun matchup. Good, fun tag team matchup between these 4 men. Moving on, we had, guys, I won't lie to you. The start of this matchup was all I needed to consider this one of the best things I've ever seen. As we have the System taking on the Hardys, Joe Hendry, and Mike Santana. Santana coming out to the ring first by himself, and then we hear Joe Hendry's music playing, and the crowd, of course, eats it up. But it only got better as this was a custom entrance, as the music changed to say, not only do we believe in Joe Hendry, but we believe in Matt Hardy and we believe in Jeff Hardy. The Tron had Matt and Jeff with Joe doing the clapping, My God, that it looked so fun, so silly. They looked like they were having so much fun, having a good time with Joe Hendry. I believe in Jeff Hardy. I will never be ashamed of it. Okay, pause. I have been ashamed of it, understandably. But I love Jeff, and I'm rooting for Jeff. And as long as we're doing stuff like this, I'm happy, and it's fun. It's fun. But great way to get the crowd into it. Everybody loved it. And this is probably my new favorite entrance of all time. Just saying. The System then make their way to the ring. And, of course, the crowd, who I got to give it to Louisville. Very hot tonight. Very hot tonight. They came out to big fuck the System chants. I get it, though. As the match starts, we have Moose and Santana kicking things off, but Moose decides against it and tags in JDC before anything can happen. Santana then takes the early lead. He clears the apron of all the System and asks the crowd if they want a Hardy. Which Hardy? Who knows, but a Hardy. He then tags in Matt, and the delete chants begin. He then, Matt and Jeff do a poetry in motion onto the corner using Santana's back, which was a lot of fun. The fans, who, like I said, were super into it, are now just actively singing, I believe in Joe Hendry. I think we've got a chant. I think we've got a lifelong chant here on our hands, guys. Everyone then ends up in the ring for a spot where Joe and the Hardys hit a 3-for-2 suplex spot onto the most of the System. They then stand with their backs to the hard camera before doing a 5-second pose. Think Edge and Christian. But with the Hardys doing their dance and Hendry just sort of going like this. It was really fun. It was really silly. I don't want Hendry to become a meme, though. And I feel like a little bit of that has to do with NXT. I mean, granted, let's be real. Joe Hendry is always going to be a wrestler with a comedic overtone or undertone or a tone of some sort. I don't know. But he was never the joke. He was making fun of other people. I don't want him to be the joke. And that's where we got to be a little careful here. Hey, the crowd's into it. The crowd loves it. But we still got to be a little careful. At least that's what I think. Afterwards, the System regained control, and they take turns beating up Matt Hardy, keeping him isolated. He then was able to make a hot tag to Jeff. The crowd is super into it, and he takes it to the System. He hits a whisper in the wind to take out basically all of them. Eddie Edwards is now our legal man, and the crowd really just bringing the heat, chanting Davey Richards at him and fuck the System as Moose is able to work over Jeff. He then tags in JDC, the man who injured Jeff, and picks up where Moose left off, and fans start chanting and singing Hendry's theme again out of the blue. Hendry then helps rally the crowd even more behind Jeff, who hits a huge twist of fate onto Moose. Think Stone Cold Steve Austin stunner onto Scott Hall big. Just sent him bouncing and flying. This gives Jeff enough time to make the hot tag to Hendry, who hits the ring and just clears house. He hits a big fallaway slam onto Edwards. He then avoids Eddie's middle rope splash and then hits another fallaway slam onto JDC. Myers goes to spear Hendry, but Hendry sidesteps him, and the spear hits JDC instead. Oh, darn. He then hits another fallaway slam onto Myers. Moose then comes off the ropes, but Hendry sidesteps him as well. Just a matador tonight. Hendry then connects with a big pop-up powerbomb onto Eddie, but he goes for the cover, only getting 2. The fans absolutely behind Hendry, chanting, "We believe, we believe, we believe." And Hendry goes for the standing ovation. Eddie's able to avoid it, and the two go colliding into the ropes, and Hendry tags out. Matt is now our legal man. He hits a big side effect. Jeff hits a swanton bomb on, but JDC then catches him and hits a Falcon Arrow. Hendry then hits a standing ovation onto JDC. Matt then hits a twist of fate onto Eddie Edwards for a close 2 count, but Moose is able to break it up Matt then goes after Eddie again, but Eddie low blows him and hits a Boston knee party, getting the 1-2-3. Again, I guess this one makes sense because I think we're going to see these matches devolve. Like Santana and Moose are going to run it back one-on-one. The Hardys are going to go after the system one-on-one. And I don't know with Hendry. Quite frankly, I want Hendry away from the system at this point. I'm good. After the match, Moose goes right into the camera and says, it doesn't matter who wins tonight, whoever it is, he's coming for the championship. That's his, the world championship. Sure. Okay. Now, guys, we are going for our main event, a TNA World Championship match to be decided in a 60-minute Iron Man match as world champion Nick Nemeth defends against Josh Alexander. Let me fix that header because we are better than that here at the Mark It Down podcast. I'm always very weary of Iron Man matches. I always get excited for them. I do. I always want them to be awesome. I'm always hoping they're awesome. Whenever they get announced, I'm like, oh man, an Iron Man match. But the reality is, often we know how these things go. There's going to be a lot of slow spots. There's going to be a lot of rest holds. There's going to be a lot of time for these guys to catch their breath. And quite frankly, most Iron Man matches are boring for the majority of the match up until maybe the last 10 minutes. I can thankfully say this was not the case with this match. This was kind of awesome and very unexpected in the booking. Wasn't expecting this, but man, did they really deliver with some surprise and great action. This was a good old-fashioned wrestling match. These were wrestlers wrestling, and I was all for it. By the time we got to the 15-minute mark, somehow Nick Nemeth had gotten 2 wins over Josh Alexander. The first being at the 12-minute mark, he gets a big roll-up out of nowhere, surprising Alexander and getting the pin, going up 1-0. Shocked. Maybe it was because the fans were chanting, I believe in Nick Nemeth. So I guess that's just going to be a thing now. Guys, we learned from Daniel Bryan / Bryan Danielson in WWE. The yes chants are awesome no matter who's doing them, but it belongs to one person. The I believes might be awesome for whoever, but they belong to Joe Hendry. Leave it be. Don't do this. Come up with something else. Even if it did help him get the 1-0. Oh, and also, I got to just say it. I've been praising this crowd all night so far, but I will say, read the room, people. A We Want Tables spot chant when they're doing some mat work in the ring, bad form. Be better. Be better. As it is, the We Want Tables chant is on thin ice, as it is with most people, but at least it makes sense in a hardcore matchup of some sort. They were wrestling. Shut up. I'm sorry. But after Nemeth got the pin, Josh immediately jumps onto Nemeth, putting the boots to him in the corner, and he tries to get things started again for himself. Nemeth then lands a big back elbow to Alexander to slow him down, but Alexander then hits a backbreaker, regaining control and continuing to focus the pressure onto Nemeth's lower back. He then hits a big suplex and looks to tie things up with a cover, but Nemeth is able to kick out. Nick then begins firing up and fighting back with repeated forearms, but a knee to the bread to the bread basket. I love that note that I took. I think it was what commentary said from Alexander, slowed him down. Fans then chanted USA, and Alexander taunts them by pointing to the Canadian logo on his knee pad. Guys, it's Canada. You don't need to put them down anymore. They've been through enough. The two are going at a fast pace, back and forth spots, pin attempts, and the crowd is just really eating it up, coming to life. Nemeth then hits a big famouser, going for the cover, but Josh is able to kick out before the count of 3. Nemeth then looks for the danger zone, but Josh is able to avoid it. Nemeth then hits it anyway seconds later. He is a persistent champion, covering him and getting the 2-point lead. Guys, it's weird to see in Iron Man matches the babyface leading out the gate by 2. This was a weird way to go, but it's different, so I'm here for it. The champion has a comfortable lead, and we are just really over 20 minutes, I guess, into this match. I said 15 before, but it was around 20. And the crowd has just kind of lost it at this point. I don't know if they're exhausted. I don't know if they're tired. But at one point, we got an LA Knight chant. Oh, you didn't know for Road Dogg. Suplex City chants. We want Vicky. No, we don't. We don't want Vicky Guerrero, guys. We don't want Vicky Guerrero. Nemeth and Alexander then slow things down with some chain wrestling, and the crowd's just not into it. And this is what I was kind of telling you before. I still think they did a good job of keeping the crowd into it with 2 pins within the first 20 minutes, but we knew it was coming, and it did. But it doesn't matter. Alexander then picks things up, hitting some massive German suplexes onto Nemeth. He just keeps hitting them, then some elbows as Nemeth hits Alexander with a low shot. Alexander then hit him with so many German suplexes. It was a lot of German suplexes, to the point that I wonder if the Suplex City chant kind of motivated him. Either way, he looked really good. Nemeth then fights back, and he gets on Alexander's back. He then goes for the rolling German, dumping Alexander onto his head over and over again, and the crowd is just finally getting back into it. Nemeth then headsbutt Alexander's headgear off of his head. That was a scary thing to see, but it was kind of awesome too. Josh then tripped Nemeth up with an ankle lock. He then just keeps him flat in the ring. He even does that, the full-on like leg wrap around Nemeth's body, but Nemeth is able to crawl his way to the ropes as the crowd is chanting, "Please don't tap out." Alexander then steps on the back of Nemeth's head and yanks him further back into the ring. He's sitting down, locked on him, cranking away. Nemeth looks to tap, but instead, just once again slamming his hands into the mat as he gets closer and closer to the ropes and is able to break the hold. Josh then slammed Nemeth's leg onto the ring apron to continue to soften it up. Alexander and Nemeth then bump the ref. With the ref down, Alexander responds to which fans chant of "We want tables" by heading out to the ring and grabbing one for himself. He sets it up at ringside, goes for a C4 spike through the table, but Nemeth is able to counter it with a back body drop that sends Alexander bouncing off of the corner of the ring apron. It was pretty rough. He kind of landed like perpendicular to the apron. It was hardest part of the ring is just going crazy tonight. Back in the ring, Josh gets Nemeth up for a spinning tombstone. He covers him as the ref comes back to life, but only gets a 2 count. Hannafin then Tom Hannafin, our announcer, then stresses that there are 40 minutes into this match, and Alexander still has not been able to score a pin. Ouch. Josh then grabbed a steel chair and headed to the ring with it. He gives the ref. The ref asks for it and asks for Josh to stop. Josh contemplates it, and then he does, in fact, give the chair to the ref. As the ref goes to get rid of it, Alexander takes a foreign object out of his knee pad. I didn't really see what it was. It looked like a tool of some sort, and then he just knocked Nemeth out with it, straight up on the dome, dropping it. This then gives Josh the opportunity to hit the C4 spike and gets a major point. We are now 2-1 at this point. Josh then immediately hits another C4 spike onto Nemeth and then covers him for the second fall. Don't know how I feel about this. There's usually supposed to be some time in between pins, let the other opponent get his wind, but it did show just how much Josh was able to incapacitate Nemeth, so it did work for what it was intended to. We now have just over 15 minutes remaining. He can't get Nemeth up because Nemeth is just knocked out. So Alexander simply tries covering him again, but Nemeth is able to kick out. He then springs to life out of nowhere and hops onto Alexander's back with a massive sleeper hold. He keeps squeezing until Alexander finally falls back. As they crash to the mat, Nemeth lets go, but he recovers. He slaps it right back on him and continues to squeeze away. Alexander is able to get to his feet, run forward, slamming Nemeth face first into the turnbuckle. This gives him the opportunity to try and regain himself, but Nemeth just gets back onto him and leaps onto him with another sleeper hold. He was like a spider monkey. He hopped on, wouldn't let go, and it was quite funny. This time, Alexander climbs the top ropes. Both guys tumble over and crash to the floor. He did everything he could to get him off of him, and it worked. With just over 11 minutes remaining, both guys are back to their feet, trading blows. Nick headbutts Alexander, who then picks Nemeth up and dumps him on the floor. Pretty rough. Josh then rolled back into the ring, hoping to go 3-2, but Nemeth trying to get the 10 count and trying to get things to 3-2. The ref begins counting, but Nemeth is able to get in just at 9, right before 10. Superman his way in. Cena would be proud. He then walks right into Alexander, who hooks him for another C4 spike, but Nick is able to avoid it and ends up back body dropping Alexander over the ropes into the table. Chekhov's table, baby. You don't put it there unless someone's going through it. We learned our lesson a few weeks ago or last month with AJ Francis, Rhino, and PCO. Don't set up a table if I'm not getting it. Hannafin also makes it clear neither man can be disqualified for using a table because the referee was down and when the table was set up. I don't know how that made sense, though. That was weird, and you could have easily just said it was a defensive move, so it doesn't count as a DQ. I understand they needed to come up with something, but what I just came up with was 5 times better than the ref didn't see it, so it doesn't count. Absolutely silly. I don't blame Hannafin. That's a TNA decision that got to be better. Got to be better. Back in the ring, Alexander hits another big C4 spike and covers Nemeth, but Nemeth goes to the school of Roman Reigns, kicking out at 2.999, and he is able to kick out of that fall. And granted, it wasn't a kick out as much as he got his foot on the rope, but still, the timing for it was great. Absolutely great. The crowd, though, at this point is just not into it. I was into it, but the crowd wasn't into it. They were just doing some bullshit chants and then finally going, "This is awesome." I guess they were a little slow to the game here, but better than nothing. Nemeth then hits a DDT out of the blue and quickly covers Josh, but only gets a 2 count. Nemeth then reties his boot before going back to work on Alexander in the corner. He runs into a big boot from Alexander, who then hops up to the middle rope and kicks Nemeth. Nemeth then climbs up after him. They go for a top rope spot, and it looks like it's going to be a superplex, but Alexander is able to knock him down. Josh then heads up to the top rope, but Nemeth pops up, stops him, and this time does hit that superplex. Fans chant one more time. He does not go for it, thankfully, but he does go for the cover, and Alexander is able to kick out. Maybe he should have done it one more time. I don't know. We now only have a little over 5 minutes remaining, and we are tied at 2. Hannafin then reminds us that if it does go to a tie, we go to sudden death overtime. They continue to trade blows, and Alexander kicks Nemeth's ankle out from under him. He then pulls the straps down, very Kurt Angle, but while doing so, he gets super kicked by Nemeth. And then Alexander still tries to fight back and hits a German release suplex. Fans are now chanting 3 more minutes as the countdown clock is on. Alexander then lawn darts Nemeth into an exposed turnbuckle. He then hits Nemeth with Nemeth's own danger zone, goes for the cover, but Nemeth kicks out. Josh isn't happy. The fans are 2 more minutes left. Alexander looks for another C4 spike, but he is struggling. Nemeth counters with a back slam into a pin, but Josh is able to kick out. We now are at 1 minute left. Both men still tied. Nemeth leaps into the air and catches Alexander with a danger zone, but instead of going for the pin, he then hooks his arms and locks him in for a C4 spike of his own. He connects with it, covers him, gets the 1, 2, 3 with 20 seconds left remaining. Nemeth stands up, waiting for Alexander to get up, but with 5 seconds remaining, Josh is unable to get up, crashes to the floor, the bell sounds, and Nick Nemeth is still our TNA World Champion and an Iron Man. Bravo to Nick Nemeth, wrestling his first 60-minute Iron Man match and coming out on top. As he is celebrating and we think all is right in the world of TNA, we hear some music and it is JBL, John Bradshaw Layfield, who comes out, shocking the crowd. He gets close to Nemeth, whispers something in his ear, and then heads back up the ramp. Nemeth shakes his head, nodding, and that is it. That is the end of the show. Now, guys, if you've been following things on the indies for a little while now, we know this isn't the first time JBL has popped up anywhere. He showed up at GCW, helping Mance Warner retain the GCW title. And then this isn't an indie, but he showed up in Mexico in the corner of Nick Nemeth against Alberto Del Rio. I don't know what's going on. I did not have JBL Indie God on my bingo card for 2024, but we are here. This man has showed up in 3 different promotions in about a week and a half. Huh. I don't know if he's going to form a stable. I don't know if he plans on wrestling. That would be insanity. I don't know if he plans on managing Nick Nemeth. I don't know what his actions are, what his intentions are. But JBL is here in TNA, and it certainly does feel like hell has frozen over. I don't know what to expect. JBL has been famously pro WWE for decades. That is the company that decided to make him a world champion after all. But was not expecting to see JBL in any ring that didn't have the letters WWE on them. But here we are. The Forbidden Door, the prohibited portal that is TNA. It's wide open. And I don't know what to expect. Hey, you know it. I'm not paying attention, but I do appreciate it. Hope you're having a good night on this Friday evening. Well, I guess technically we're now Saturday morning. I got to go to bed soon. But guys, this was a wild way to end the pay-per-view. I don't know where JBL is going to go next. I don't know what he's doing next, but we're here and man, what a world. What a world. I do appreciate you guys being here with me tonight / this morning. We are having a lot of fun here at the Market Down Podcast, and I had a lot of fun covering Emergence tonight for TNA. I have been saying it every week for the last several weeks. Hell, I think I've been saying it since day one of the podcast, but I really, really do appreciate every single one of you who comes checking us out. We are now at 998 subscribers. This is a huge deal for us. When we started this a little while ago, we just thought we were going to be a couple of guys who were just talking about wrestling. And the fact that so many of you have been so supportive of us, the fact that so many of you have shown us so much love over this time means so much to us. And we really, really want to make it up to you. We really want to show you how much we appreciate it. Being 2 away from 1,000 is just mind-boggling. But when we do hit 1,000, which should be hopefully very, very soon, we are going to start going crazy with the giveaways. I got to talk it over with the guys, but we do have some very fun stuff that we're going to unveil. We're not going to unveil it until we hit 1,000. And when we hit 1,000, beyond just giveaways, we have some really fun stuff to expect. All right. I mean it, guys. I know we've been teasing it week in and week out, but it's true. When we hit 1,000, this is going to be a game changer for the pod. Expect some new content. Expect some familiar returning faces to the pod. Expect a lot of what you love and definitely some new stuff too. So please, if you're new and you're following us for the first time, hit that like button. We really appreciate it. It lets us know we're doing the right thing. And of course, hit that subscribe button. The more of you there are, the more fun we can have. I mean it. It sounds corny, but it's true. You know it, asking if we get to 1K, does YouTube give us a gold star next to our name? I think they just throw some dirt at us, but that dirt means a lot. So we will gladly take it. But you guys know the deal. If you're not getting enough of us and you want to check us out elsewhere, check us out on social media. We are all over the place right now on TikTok, on Instagram, on Facebook, and on X for some reason. But we are everywhere. So go check us out there. Go have some fun with us. Matt's killing it on the Instagram right now. All the guys are having a lot of fun interacting. I know our Twitter's been blowing up lately. Our X has been blowing up lately. So we're going to continue talking on there. We're a bunch of yappers, and we're just going to keep on yapping. But guys, I am James Gisanti. This is the Mark It Down podcast. And when we cover things TNA and Impact, what are we? The Gympact Zone. So thank you for joining me here as we covered TNA Emergence. I don't know that we're going to be able to cover Bash in Berlin this weekend. We're going to do our best, but realistically, it's going to be a little tough. We just have a lot going on. But if we can, we will. If not, you will see us next week as we cover the WWE stuff, whether it is Monday Night Raw, Wednesday Dynamite, Thursday Impact, Friday SmackDown. We're going to be doing it. Something. We're going to be doing it. But, guys, I love you. Have a great night or a good morning, depending on where you are. As always, watch wrestling. And, of course, as always, watch TNA. Good night.